Right, so this game. So how did this go so wrong? Now, this was an absolute masterclass by G2 in my opinion. This was so good in general. So first up, they get the Milio. So Milio is amazing, B1, but the issue was their B3 pick here. They really threw the game by going it. So they get Milio and then they get Lucian Nami, which means obviously they want to play very heavily towards bot side due to the fact that Lucian Nami can get a lot of pressure on the Milio. So they go Wukong here, which isn't too bad. It plays for the 3v3. I do like it. I don't think it's bad at all, especially if you want to take jungle blind. I think it's really strong. But then they just go Renekton on B3, which is completely grief because now you open yourself to R3 Malphite. So now you get Malphite, which again now top is completely off limits, and now that means so I actually overlooked the Kindred value when this was live as well, and I said, oh, why are they going Lissandra here? Why don't they go Kindred and then look for Prio on R5? But the reason is, I guess they had prep that they thought they were going to go Zeri here. So the issue that you have here, because you've taken Renekton B3 blind and you've got countered by the Malphite, no matter what you pair now with the Milio in ADC, the Malphite is always going to have value against them because you always want somebody that auto attacks as the ADC. So now you end up in a position where, again, Lissandra lockdown as well is actually very good for Zeri because you can just flash ult her and she gets really shut down. But then they go Cassio, which again is okay into list. But the issue is Tifa doesn't really play for mid. She plays for jungle, which then plays for bot. So now we actually see the Kindred come in R5. And now I literally predicted this in live. I said, due to the fact that them having Zeri Milio against a Lucian Nami, they get so much prio. All they need to do is late invade and they win. Now the issue is if you're big and you see this draft and you don't expect a late invade, there is no way you should be winning the game. Because right here, like, Kindred actually shows here, and at first I said, oh, maybe they're not going to late invade, but I guess she was just showing here to grant vision. So Sheena walks up so that they think that she's going to start red for vision so that Wukong doesn't go for a late invade himself with the Renekton, and then instantly parts into bot side and goes for this late invade. Walks up, instantly kills Wukong off, and now all of a sudden you've got a vertical jungle where you have all of this side for Kindred, which this is super important because as Kindred you want to consistently get your marks, and when you've got Lucian Nami bot lane against something as passive as a Zeri Milio that needs to scale, it means that you can consistently come in and invade, and Tifa has consistently shown that she is completely fine with giving away waves and giving away prio in order to come and walk with Sheena and do whatever they need to do, which again, really good from the side of G2. So obviously Kindred manages to take red away here due to the fact that they showed due to the fact that she showed here means that the Wukong didn't opt to go into red. If Wukong would have done a vertical jungle here, maybe you could have potentially looked to punish Malphite a little bit. But the issue you have is Malphite's already such a hard counter to Renekton that even taking a split map top is super doomed. So it's like no matter what the Wukong does in this game, it's just completely doomed for how he can play. So what you end up doing here is Kindred ends up getting red, gets a vertical jungle, and then also they completely disrespect it as well. The Kindred takes this, and then instantly obviously looks to come into bot lane due to the fact that one thing that I really like that Kaltis does is she consistently plays the waves really well for the matchup she's in. Really good utilization of things like slow pushes, but here she doesn't even need it. And again, leaving the tower just leaves Kindred to just come up. Red buff slow, it just does so much. And now Zeri is just so far behind already. Nothing she can do. And they have massive amounts of prio inside of this kind of matchup. We lose all of this CS already. And now Lucian is 22 CS to Zeri's 4 at 3 minutes into the game. Like, it's so impossible for you to play Zeri in this situation now because your draft and your early game preparation was so lacking that there's nothing that you could really do now. This game is pretty much over. Triple longsword, not a bad buy because, again, just tons of raw AD for those trades. Nice big E-pop. Again, this wave is now pulling into the Lucian, and even this, really good wave control here. Kaltis does not touch this wave when she doesn't need to. Just lets it pull in with the cannon, and it's just completely doomed. Nothing the bot lane can do now. Kindred is allowed to walk up. Liss gets prio in mid, and Cassio just leaves the tower, just loses all of that XP, to try and contest when Wukong's on, well, gets the ward, I guess, but like just ward over the wall. You don't need to walk that far. Like you lose XP from doing that. And now Wukong's on bot again. Kaltis jumps forward, gets a very, very easy quick kill due to the fact that, you know, she's on Kerchi's Shard advantage, which having a Kerchi's Shard advantage is absolutely disgusting at this point. Emilio is just staying with absolutely no HP. And it just becomes super, super rough to play. Now they get complete control of dragons as well. Unfortunately, don't manage to get that ward, but it's not the end of the world. Again, get dragons. Cloud means that, you know, you have access to Hex Soul, you have access to Infernal Soul. It does mean you have a potential to get Chemtech, which isn't too amazing. But, like, if you get Infernal or Hex Roll here, then it's just super, super valuable. And again, like, it's, I can't remember what second dragon, so it was Ocean second, which means, again, you could still get Chemtech, but it doesn't really matter too much. So here is just the replay of Milio just trying to recall back here. Lucian E-Flash, Insta-Pop, especially with the Nami buff on him as well. There's just really not much you can do in that situation. It's super, super doomed. So again, like, it's so difficult. If you're playing the side of Big here, you are really, really not happy with the way that this game is playing out. And again, Kindred is allowed, whenever she wants, to just simply walk into the jungle and take anything. Now, this is a fairly risky invade, to be honest, but I guess she knew that there was resets. And Liz does get first push on wave, so she can come early. And this just allows Kindred. So even the rotation from the Lissandra to come into the bot side here and just kind of hover the Kindred is super important in that situation. And even getting that ward to just completely choke out the enemy Wukong with vision is just incredibly valuable. And now we can see again, we've got this 3v3, which at this point, Big never, ever, ever win this 3v3. We have 71 CS on the Lucian in comparison to the 46 on the Zeri. And with a Nami and a Kindred just going nuts as well, it becomes super hard. We can see by these trades in top lane, that was a full trade from Renekton onto Malphite. There's just nothing he can really do. Double cloth armor coming through, which is pretty good. And again, this is a full trade. Like, absolutely nothing. Like, what, maybe 20% of overall HP, and then the trade back comes through. Really good bubble from the Nami, and they're just looking to use their mobility to just keep coming in and out of this turret range, doing as much poke as possible. Ignite did come down on the Zeri there. That was kind of weird, but I also like the fact that Kaltis took the Ignite here. It's because Nami has Revitalized, so she actually gets more healing, whereas Kaltis is the one that knows when she's in kill range anyway. So again, just really, really good play. They just completely zone them away. 81 CS to 51 a minute. So already 1 kill up, 2 kills in CS, so 3 kills in total in terms of gold. So about 1,000 gold advantage due to the assists also, and it's only 930. So like if you're playing Lucian and you're 1k gold up, you are like at this point into the game, it's very, very good, especially because he gets his Storm Razor spike right now, and this is going to just give Kaltis so much power. Again, the Wukong just can't really do too much. Renekton's being forced out massively the entire game. Lysia TP'd back, full HP, full mana. Renekton's only got half HP, can't really contest the Herald whatsoever. And G2 are just consistently taking every single objective that they can and just completely stomping the side of Big by doing that. So again, I've mentioned this before, one of the big things that I think is like a lot of teams, they've played first game really well, it's been very close, and then they've just kind of, as soon as they've lost, they've kind of mental boomed a little bit, ran it down, or not ran it down, but just really not played too well. I think this was probably one of the most dominant wins of the tournament so far. But again, we can just see that like Kindred just gets access to every single dragon. We then get a Hex Soul come up, which is one of the best souls that they could have potentially got. We do have a TP coming in here, but it really does not matter at this point. Trez is very low. She cannot fight whatsoever. The Kindred ult comes down, and now nobody can really do anything. Kaltis does take a little bit of a grief flash, to be honest, to jump forward. I think they just take the fact that they've got TP from Cassio here and just back away. Like, TP for Kindred ult is very, very worth. And again, you can see here, the Renekton is trying to survive in this laning phase, but there's just absolutely nothing he can do against a Malphite. If Malphite had mana here, then he'd actually just kill him, but unfortunately he doesn't, and ultimate was used already, so yeah, 112 CS on Lucian, 75 at 12 minutes is absolutely disgusting. That is such a huge gap. And it's not even like it just came through AD. Sheena literally played this so unbelievably well to completely shut down everything that, like, any chance the Big could have had was completely shut down by Sheena early. So I don't know if that's on Sheena for that call to late invade and kind of play around that, or if alternatively it was coaching staff or whatever, but again, 10 out of 10. It's just super important. Now they get the Lucian unlocked as well with Herald. And they're just going to look to completely run the entire game over. That's the amount of damage that Kaltis is kind of outputting right now with just Stormrazor and Azeel. And again, another tower over. Like I said, I would have liked to, instead of giving the 550 gold by 3, I would have liked to give the 550 by 2 instead. Nami back away. So then it's, what, 275 each. But it's not too bad since, you know, she has got a mandate and items are still going to be really valuable on Nami at this point. Lucian's already so far ahead that they don't need to funnel as much. They've already done everything they need to. They've got a dragon wing condition. They're stomping in terms of overall kind of gold. And again, Kindred is so far ahead at this point, she could just consistently walk in the jungle and just take whatever she wants. Allows her to get massive marks. At this point, she is on 4 marks, so her attack range has gone from 500 all the way up to 575, which means she can now outrange or kind of play more like an ADC rather than kind of a skirmishy low-range ADC, I guess. She can play more like a long-range hype carry. Lucian, again, just went a rapid-fire cannon on 2. Again, Nami giving Lucian the E means that, you know, he can get that slow off. So if you get the rapid-fire proc into the slow, it's really big. But again, don't know why Vixen is walking up this far. Malphite is actually seen on a ward, and Vixen is still choosing to fight. Lysandra gets the E into the W, ults, and just instantly dies, especially with Kindred there. So really big desperation play, but without Malphite showing and not knowing where Kindred is, like you cannot go for plays like that, and that just guarantees third objective as well. So now they're on Soul Point with a massive gold lead, and it just becomes really impossible to play at all. Lucian damage on the Milio is absolutely disgusting. Like, he just does so much. Like, here, just eat in. And again, so this is why you go rapid fire as well, just so that you can get that extra damage off. TP comes in, doesn't really matter. Kindred ult comes down, saves the Lucian, and now everybody dies. The Wukong does actually get an ult onto Kaltis, but she does just manage to flash away, and again, she's completely fine. So again, managing to survive and just not take any like deaths whatsoever, even without Gale Force, just shows that this game is just completely doomed whatsoever. As soon as this Gale Force comes through, there's just absolutely nothing they can do. 3 item spike on Lucian here is just kind of disgusting. Again, we had a pause in here. And back into the game. Again, they don't really want to walk up and force too much here until they get vision on others. And then, obviously, from there, they manage to just finish off the tower. Support item only just comes through for the Nami. That shows how much fighting has actually gone down. But now they can just walk up, take this tower quite easily. And when you're in this kind of position, one of the main things you don't want to do is overforce, because you're so far ahead. There's no way you can kind of lose off this. It's... I mean, well, there is, but if you can play early game this clean in the first 20 minutes and get this hard advantage, then there's absolutely nothing you could do. I don't know why there's just this random bug now and again where this gold, it's like 27.9k, 28k, okay, nice. So they're like 6,000 gold behind, and then all of a sudden 33.6, wait, what? So now they're at 33k, what? They're a k behind, what? But then it resets. So I don't know what's happening there, but overall, completely fine. Like, it's just super difficult to really do anything when you're in this kind of position now as big. I feel like they're kind of rolling over belly up, especially from the draft. I feel like what kind of happened here is they kind of went, oh, well, Kaltis did really well on this area, so we're going to take it as well. But you can't really do that as much considering You need other conditions in the map to actually do that. When you don't have the ability to control bottom half of the map, it just becomes so unbelievably difficult to do anything here. Here you can just see that the Lucian is just slowly doing damage. Nami's popping E onto Lucian so that he can do as much as possible. And again, the rapid fire allows him to just do a massive amount of damage. Renekton goes down to nearly half HP just from a very, very short trade from the Lucian. Kindred hops over the wall here, really big Nami ult. Wukong actually manages to get on the backline back here, but it just doesn't matter. They're so far ahead at this point. They nearly get kills down, but then all of a sudden we see Kindred's ult just come in. Really good ult from Kindred. I think she was literally on about like 50 HP when the ult came down there, and then Kaltis just gets triple and a clean ace. Good split for the objectives. They keep Tifa and Lysia here to just instantly kill off the dragon so that they get soul, and then they just send Lucian, Kindred and Nami up to Baron to finish that off. We did get another pause here, and I don't know how it happened, but Lucian died. So they did get the TP coming in here, but Lucian actually died to the Baron here. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It was still almost a flawless game until the last couple of seconds anyway. But now they've got Hexol, they've got Baron. They have absolutely everything they need to end out the game. Everybody's super ahead. Even the Jack Shawan Malphite just means that he can ult the Zeri and be completely safe that he's not going to die whatsoever. We do have some fights come here. Vixen, sorry, this was Crow. Crow went in, tried to get a fight. Again, completely useless. He hasn't got a lead whatsoever. You can't just blind Renekton with those conditions, especially if you're looking to go Zeri in bot lane and you don't... if you're not prepared for them to draft how they did for G2, you can't just blind Malphite like that, especially on blue side. R3 maybe, because then you can ban away counters on both. But again, Vixen nearly gets a kill, not quite. But they just run this down. They get the top inhib. Meanwhile, Tifa, really good actually splitting down mid just so that she can get this wave into this tower as well with Baron buff, so they can Baron up and go for a second inhib. Again, the amount of poke the Lucian can get here is absolutely insane. And then they just back away. Well, I mean, they get a little bit of damage on this tower while they wait for the wave. And then as soon as the wave's here, they just take this tower, take another inhibitor, and then we get another fight. Unfortunately, they're just trying to kind of flip a fight because there's not really much they can do. Trez does manage to get on top of Tifa, but again, Tifa isn't the one you want. It's definitely Kaltis. And now all of a sudden, Lucian just goes absolutely nuts and the game is completely over. So this was literally a perfect example of how a really good draft and a good kind of early game plan just completely ended this game. This game was not completely over in draft, but as soon as that level 1 late invade came down, the fact that Big didn't prepare for it, I mean, when you're looking into a comp like this, you have to expect that late invade, and you have to have some kind of game plan ready for when they do late invade. If you don't, then you're just going to lose. There is nothing you can do into this setup when you get late invaded and your Zeri Milio don't get a chance to do anything. So this was probably the most dominant game of the series. I mean, after watching Clash play earlier, I think the grand finals is going to be a much, like, a higher game quality. I do still think G2 are favoured going into it, especially considering they've played more recently. They've got a big kind of mental advantage going into it. There's about 45 minutes until the next game. But I think, like, if you're playing against G2, the only way you can, like, consistently beat G2 is you need a good solid draft, and you need to be able to fist fight bot lane. You need to try and get Kaltis on something like the Aphelios, and then return something like the Jinx, and literally just try to play bot v bot. Like, the first game when they played very heavy bot v bot, they did have some really good kind of moments where it did look like the game could have gone either way, and that's how you need to play into this G2 roster. But until people do that, then I think it's going to be a bit of a stomp. So we'll see what Clash decide to do. They are a team that, from what I've seen in the first semi today, they play much more towards having like a utility bot lane. They really like the Senna Nautilus. So we'll see what they go with from there. I mean, we might see the Senna Nautilus as a response into something like the Zeri. But yeah, we'll see from there.